nobody ever knows how a tornado works like a woman. We don't get what they're doing.
Tornadoes and women are actually very similar. Curvy, hot, unpredictable.
Destroying
Could
everything
kill
if
you
they do it
or
right.
not. Who knows?
Fun to look at.
Welcome to When Harry Dumps Sally. This is a podcast where we watch a rom-com or a movie with a relationship at the center of it.
Yes.
And we analyze the relationship and we discuss how long they stay together after the credits roll,
Yes.
who dumps who, why,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And today we watched Twister.
The hot spot.
What?
Twister, the hot spot.
Twister. Wait, sing it.
Twister, the hot spot. The board game Twister.
The board game Twister.
Anyway.
And also this movie.
It was a hot spot.
It was a hot spot. It's from 1996. And our log line for it is: two storm chasers on the brink of divorce must work together to create an advanced weather alert system by putting themselves in the crosshairs of extremely violent tornadoes.
Wow. That feels accurate, right?
Yeah, we've got Helen Hunt as Joe and Bill
So
Paxton as
hot.
Bill.
He's fine.
Helen Hunt, very hot.
Just-
I mean, hot in general, but this role,
She's so hot here.
Yeah.
She does, in all of her roles, never stop being hot.
no, it's
Even now
good
in
for
Hacks,
her.
hot.
Yeah.
But yeah, her little white tank.
Yes, her white tank top being like sexy scientist, but like not like lab sexy, like out in the field sexy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a bad girl. She can't
She's
get
a
enough of
bad
these
girl. She's an
twisters.
adrenaline junkie.
She is hot.
You had not seen this movie before.
I had never ever seen it in my life.
I have seen it so many times. It was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. I love this movie a lot. It is a ridiculous movie,
But it's a good time.
but it's a good time.
I had a great time. I was about to tell you, I told you almost really early on, like, this is a fun film.
Yeah,
like
it's great. It's
yeah.
tornadoes.
I'm so happy.
I think it's
Did
fun.
someone suggest it to us? Must have.
We did, yeah. We
Ah.
actually had two people suggest it, I think.
That's good.
But yeah, it's a good time. This movie, when I was a kid, I like wanted to be a storm chaser
Of course.
because of it. I
Yeah.
was like, this is cool.
Uh-huh. It's very cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool. Their little crew is fun. They got a
Yeah.
whole little crew. I love having a crew.
Yeah, a crew of just like kind of misfits, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we go around and we chase tornadoes. We got our rival scientists.
Yeah. Ooh. The rival scientists are funny. So I guess the main couple is Helen
Joe and
Hunt,
Bill,
Joe
yeah.
and Bill. Yeah. And when we start off,
They are,
the divorce papers are not signed by her yet.
yes,
Uh-huh.
but they have been separated for, I think we're to assume a year maybe.
It feels like a year tops.
Yeah, that's how I feel, because
Yeah.
he also has a new
They're supposed to be
fiance,
engaged. Yeah. And they're going to buy a
Melissa.
house or something.
Yeah, so he's engaged to Melissa, which is why he's like, let's get this divorce going. And some divorces, like, people just don't sign the papers for a while. But it did seem like
Felt
Joe
recent.
was a little bit like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah.
So I think that it probably
it's been
a
like-
year.
yeah, a year.
Ish.
And so our main couple is this couple.
Yes.
And at the end, obviously, they're together because that's how we do our
Yeah.
podcast.
They are together in
But
the end.
We're going to say how long we think they
How long
stay.
we think.
Give me a second for this one.
This one's a hard one, and I think I
Yeah.
have like a longer answer maybe than a. I'll give a number and then I'll give an explanation.
I have mine with like a caveat or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do an explanation rather than. Actually, I'll do. Okay.
Do the number and then we do our explanations.
Okay, cool. I'll do a number.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
3
1 year.
years.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Whatever cool work they're about to do scientifically is going to be fun for them for a bit. And I think they could stay a while if they also get to keep chasing fucking
Yes.
tornadoes together.
I agree.
And based on my research, there are a lot of tornadoes.
There are a
year.
lot of tornadoes in the Midwest.
And in the States, I think it's 800 a year.
Yeah.
So like that's a lot of days they could be fucking.
But it also is during tornado season, which is March to June.
True.
It is condensed, and then you have to spend the rest of the year. You're in a lab.
You have to like talk
you're-
to each other.
And I think
One has
that's
to do
where
analysis,
they're.
one has to do data. They were like, just to
Yeah.
fight about that or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I do think that they have a fun dynamic, but I
Yeah.
think that it is based on kind of like fighting, and there's like a lot of
There's
intensity
a lot of
to
adrenaline
it.
junkie business.
And I think if, as we saw with this, if one of them decides to leave this specific field, it's not going to work, which I think
Yeah.
would be more likely to be him,
yeah.
as
'Cause
we've
she's
already.
got her. Yeah.
She's got her thing. She's
Yeah.
got her trauma,
Uh-huh.
which causes her to do this.
Yep.
But I think that I did a year vaguely. Research can take a while. I think my explanation would be I think it's going to last as long as this research they're doing
Yeah.
lasts, because I think they are excited by it. But I think like ultimately they're like not. They're like too adrenaline-y, you know, for it to be
Absolutely.
forever.
Yeah.
And I don't think she's capable of settling down. And I think that he doesn't want to, but it's a little more in him.
Yeah, I agree. I think he seems to ultimately want some kind of like, and he almost like craves this other part of himself that could be
Right.
a stable, normal
And
guy.
I think he liked that in
Yeah.
Melissa. Melissa's
Yeah.
the exact opposite of Joe.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's part of him that likes that. And as you get older, you might
Yeah.
like be more attracted to that. So
I could go down from 3 years to 1 year.
I could also go up to 3. I think that they're gonna have some fun together. I think
Yeah.
they're a fun couple.
Yeah.
I just think that like I don't see them being
No,
old
no,
together.
not at all.
Yeah.
Having to take care of each other,
No, they don't do that.
Impossible. Yeah.
They don't handle each other's
anything.
anything
No.
other than we like chasing storms. We like doing science together.
Exactly. There was a quote that the aunt said at some point mid-film, which was just like, it was like, I like you guys together, but like what worked is he was independent and going in a direction and you happen to be going in that same direction.
Yes.
And it's just very true of the couple.
Yes, they
Yeah.
are a couple that is like, if
They're
the
facing the same way, we're doing
circumstances
it.
are the same, great. Neither of them are compromising
No.
for the
Yeah.
other one.
Absolutely.
And I think that's fine, but it
is what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah. You want more than 3 years, you got to compromise.
right.
I've never hit more than 2.5 years. My
Yeah.
ex disagrees. He says it's been 3 years. I don't think it was 3 years. Just want you to know.
I just-
Sorry, Sam, you're wrong.
You're wrong. We were together for 2.5. Yeah, or you have to be generally going, but I think also you have to be generally going in the same direction as someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this direction is even more extreme.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we start off the movie. It's back in time
Way back in time.
in Kingfisher County,
Yep.
which is in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And we've got Joe as a little girl.
Yeah.
There's a big tornado.
Very spooky.
Yeah.
Vibes are off. Feels like, did you ever watch Courage the Cowardly Dog?
Oh, yeah.
It felt like that. The intro
Yeah.
at least for it, you know?
Have you been in a tornado before?
No.
Okay.
Have you been in a tornado?
I've been in many tornadoes.
What does that mean? What does it mean being in a tornado? Like,
I mean, I lived in Nebraska and then St. Louis.
but like, do you mean like I had to go underground
Yeah.
during lots of tornadoes?
Yeah.
Like, how many tornadoes?
Like multiple times a year.
Like 7 a year?
Sure.
That's so wacky to me.
I mean, okay, so here's the thing with I love this. I get like a little jazzed by tornadoes. I feel
Uh-huh.
like it's such a classic thing where it's like the dad with his beer on the like patio or the deck or whatever, just like watching the tornado. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of this movie, and it does take it to a wacky place, of course,
Yeah.
because it's a movie, but tornadoes are kind of weird. Like,
Yes.
you
Very
can
strange.
be outside and like watching a tornado.
But aren't you at risk of it just changing its pattern and coming towards you at
Absolutely.
any second?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
if it's far enough away, you could then go
You could
inside
know.
and go into your basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had tornado drills at school.
That's so funny.
We had tornadoes while I was at school a few
Yeah.
times, and we'd go into the bathrooms. I've been in a few like scary ones. I've been in some like most of them are fine.
How scary was a scary one?
The scariest tornado I was ever in was when I was living in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived in St. Louis. I went to school in Edwardsville, Illinois. So I would commute. And my commute was probably like a little over half an hour.
Yeah.
And it was like one night, I think I either had night class or I was at the library or something, but it was very late at night and it was pouring rain and very windy. And I think there was a tornado watch, but like that doesn't mean that it's going to turn into an actual tornado.
Yeah.
And I was driving home. It was very windy. My car was like skidding along the highway, like kind of like that. And I was probably halfway through my drive and then the siren started going off. And I was like, and it was pitch black, pouring rain, so I had like no idea what to think. I remember also my phone was on like 2%.
I hate that.
I like was crying. I remember calling my dad. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now, like I'm not anywhere. And he was like, pull over, figure out where it's coming from, like decide what you're gonna do. And my phone died and I like made the decision. I think he may have like actually looked up online like where it was coming from and we knew it was on the St. Louis side. My phone died and I decided to turn around and go back to Edwardsville, and I stayed with a friend. I just like showed up at her place and was like, I can't drive home right now, there's a tornado. Obviously. But I went back to her place and then it was like, thank God I did, because the tornado went right through my path of like where I would have been driving home.
Big yikes. That's crazy.
And it was very scary, like especially nighttime.
You can't see anything.
You couldn't see anything and like pouring rain. So it was very stressful to be driving. I've been in a few. I feel like driving is usually the scariest, and at night. I feel like during the day it's a little bit like
you get to watch it. It's hard to watch, I imagine, at night.
And
still spooky dark
the sky turns like a weird green color.
That they showed, I was wondering how real that was.
That's
wild.
kind of like, it feels a little bit, and like it goes silent because all of the animals have like gone into hiding.
Like, no, thank you.
They're like, no,
goodbye.
Like, I'm not about to be about this. So it goes like dead silent, and the like sky's a little bit green, and it's kind of exciting.
It's so weird. So tornadoes to me, bonkers.
They are,
bonker thing. Like it's so far from my life. My life has been pretty coast.
Earthquakes. You're an earthquake girl.
We get earthquakes, but not with the strength and frequency of tornadoes. It's not like 7 a year. It's like the biggest ones in my life are maybe like 3 of them total in my life.
Well, I would say the same for tornadoes. Most of them are smaller and don't do that much damage.
Like how small?
Well, I feel like with the tornadoes that we get 5 tornadoes in this movie and they go up the scale. So we get a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I would say most of them are like 1s and 2s.
Okay.
So they're like, they might cause some damage, but like probably people aren't dying from it.
Yeah. How do they, it just feels like the tornadoes when we watched them and they started going, at some point the tornado's just like, I'm full. And then it stops even. Do we know why?
So I think it has to do with the air. So it's a cold front and a warm front hitting at the same time. I think so is goofy. The science behind it, but I don't know. I'm not a cool scientist like Helen Hunt. So
that's okay.
But I think that's the general reason that it happens.
So
and they can be
crazy.
Super random where like it might destroy, like it might go through a neighborhood and destroy like 2 houses and the rest of them are fine. Like it's kind of
it's so funny. Like I know we all just kind of like make different agreements with the different areas we live in and what we're willing to put up with. And like you know, my grandparents have like a cottage and it's in the Carolinas, and every hurricane season they have to like rebuild a whole part of it because it all comes down and it's so annoying and everyone hates, and that's just like what they put up with. But there's something like about the regularity of that, and like knowing like if you're on the coast, you're probably going to get flooded with water, period. You know, earthquakes here, it's just kind of like we're all betting. We're waiting and betting.
We have an earthquake and we're like, and someday it'll be bad.
But there's something so weird to me about tornadoes where it's almost just like a big magic finger just like messing everything up on a map in a way that feels like there's very little like rhyme or reason, and it doesn't really happen to everyone in an area equally. It feels so chaotic. Right. It feels like the most chaotic to me of them.
They are very chaotic, but I feel like they're like, and maybe it's just because I've never dealt with a hurricane. Hurricanes feel the most scary to me. Like I feel like tornadoes, but yes, tornadoes, I think that's what's kind of
Neat about them.
exciting.
What's
You're
sexy
sort of
about 'em.
like,
You're
you're like,
crazy.
okay,
Okay.
what are you about to do?
Yeah.
Versus like, I mean, with an earthquake, it'd be like, okay, the whole city's
area,
getting
we're all going-
fucked.
yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
is kind of like,
It's
I mean,
crazy.
if you've got like an F5, if you got a big old tornado, then
Yeah.
like you're getting pretty fucked.
I guess
But-
maybe it's not like fires aren't cool, but maybe fires feel a little bit more
I would say
comparable.
fires feel
Yeah.
similar, but
Yeah.
more destructive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
I
I don't
think they
know.
can be.
Don't
Burn up
quote me
stuff.
on that.
We don't know
I
the
don't
rules
know.
here. But yeah, they feel like a little bit like they move with like more of a randomness.
With the
because wind's
fires
going
in
wherever they
LA,
go.
like there's plenty of neighborhoods that like burned to the ground,
Yeah.
but then like a few houses were fine.
Yeah.
And that's weird.
That's what feels kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of all crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we have a real tornado expert here. Test the
I am
tornado
a
expert.
big time tornado expert. I considered being a storm chaser.
So we're back in, I feel like we're supposed to think it's like 1966.
Okay.
That's
sure.
that's my
Yeah,
my
I
vibe.
wasn't 100% sure on timing because this comes out in 1996.
Yeah.
But when it flashes forward, it's like present day.
I think present day is supposed to be 96.
Yeah.
And so, but at some point he says the last time we saw an F5 was 30 years ago.
Yes, and it's
So
obviously
that's why
hers.
I think it's 66
Yeah.
when the back in time is.
You're so smart. I think that's correct. Genius
Women
over
in
here.
STEM, baby.
She does math.
Yeah, I can subtract 30 from something.
But yeah, Joe's little girl, her
Yeah.
dad dies in
Yeah.
this horrible tornado.
Yeah.
When they have a cellar. Cellars are scary to me. Like when it's a basement, you're like, okay, we're going down to the basement.
I see a cellar and a man's going in one and I get scared.
You don't know.
The vibe with like a dude in a cellar with a bunch of women, I'm like, I don't trust this guy.
You're like, is this movie actually about a man killing his family?
Yeah, like or like, is this how like a weird like cult thing starts? Like, I don't know, I'm like get
It's the
spooked
tornado
out.
cult.
Don't like it, but yeah, unfortunately, he gets
He gets
goes-
sucked out.
I felt a little bit like couldn't the mom have
Someone
held
have
his
grabbed-
legs? Couldn't
yeah.
have done one of the? Can we do one of those?
I feel like this is what my mom would say every time she
Really?
would watch it.
She's like, does she
She's
not
like-
love her husband enough?
She'd be like, this is what I would do. I think maybe the mom is really holding on to Joe, like being like, I'm going to keep my
Save
daughter,
the daughter, which
safe.
makes sense.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know anything about these crazy tornadoes.
These crazy things.
Okay, so we are in present day then. After that,
Yes, 1996.
Yeah.
There's a record outbreak of tornadoes.
Uh-huh.
The weather place is
the
saying this.
NSSL, the
Ooh.
National Severe Storm
League.
League seems crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah, every scientist in this movie is very cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, National Severe Storms Laboratory. It's real.
Laboratory. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So they're saying, okay, record outbreak of tornadoes.
Yep.
Bill has his new fiance, Melissa,
Melissa.
and he's taking her to find Joe to be like, you need to
You sign these fucking papers.
The papers.
We're about to get married. We're gonna have a whole new life.
Yes. We've got Philip Seymour Hoffman as Dusty. We're meeting her whole crew.
Yeah, her crew is fun. They all have ridiculous names. We got like Belzer and Rabbit.
Yeah.
Preacher.
Yeah.
I love Rabbit
Rabbit's
as
fun.
someone's name.
Uh-huh.
I think that's so fun.
I think they're like their code names over the walkie-talkie.
I love it. I don't know
Yeah.
what hers was, but Joe's
don't
pretty
remember.
sufficient, I think.
Yeah, Joe's
Um,
great.
I was so excited because this is a little inside baseball that maybe I'll cut out, but on my drives down here, I listened to all my Lady albums.
Ooh.
On my 6.5 hour drive, I'm like, listen to my Alanis Morissette albums from the 90s. I listen to Tori Amos. I do some Fleetwood Mac. I let some boys in too.
Okay,
Some
that's
Fleetwood
kind
Mac.
of you.
Yeah. But this one, I was listening to Tori Amos's, I think it's Boys for Pele album, and Tallulah came on, the song Tallulah. And I was like, this is such a great song. I wish someone would use this in a movie. Like, I thought that literally on the drive down. And then in this scene where we first meet Joe as an adult, Tallulah starts playing, and I was like, that's crazy. But then I realized, so there's a tornado mix I think they made for the film.
Okay.
And the first lyric is something like, is like he's chasing tornadoes,
Okay.
chasing her or something
makes
like
sense.
that. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was
Love
so excited.
that.
Yeah, it was really
That's
fun
so
for me. It
perfect.
was very fun for me.
Wow.
Yes. She was chasing tornadoes and just waiting calmly. I don't know, something like that. But yeah,
Joe has that on, or somebody has it on.
I don't even know if anyone has it on or if it's just
playing.
But
Okay.
it came out the same year as the film, so maybe that's
Okay.
why.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's Dusty. We've got Alan Ruck, Cameron from Ferris Bueller, and somebody in Succession.
The Succession guy.
Yeah.
The brother that tried to be in politics.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's there as well. But Bill is basically like, you got to sign these papers. Joe's like, oh, I did. She brings him the papers. She realizes that he
They are
has a
not
new
signed.
fiance.
Yep.
He goes through the papers. Oops, she missed a page.
Yeah.
It's almost like she did it on purpose.
It's so similar. Every other line I have written here, she's so fucking hot.
Yeah.
Did you notice she like moved one ring to another hand?
Yes.
What was she doing? What was the idea
think-
behind why?
It was her probably wedding or engagement ring,
and
and
then
she
moved it so it didn't look like she was still like
wearing
believing in
her
her marriage
yeah.
or whatever. Okay,
That's
okay.
what I thought that was.
Yeah.
He's left Melissa with Dusty, who's being,
Let's
you
talk
know,
about the suck zone.
he's like,
What's
yeah,
the
the
suck
suck zone.
Is
I
that
guess
just
it's the
the
zone
you
in
get
the
sucked
middle
up?
of the tornado that sucks you up. Because also that's like with chasing them or being able to watch them, it's like, unless you hit the area where it's like taking things up, like you're fine.
But
fine.
the center is different than the suck zone. The suck zone's everything outside that can
Yeah,
get pulled
I
in,
think
right?
so.
Yeah.
The center is the eye.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone's making fun of Bill.
He's becoming a weatherman.
And that is very silly.
Yeah, they all think like
the
loser.
storm chasers.
Yeah, I think because they're like
Why would you be
scientists.
talking about a storm when you
When
could
you
be
could
in it?
chase.
Yeah, and it is like we're scientists doing real thing. You're what?
where you're gonna
talking.
report on the weather,
and you're not even gonna be right about it most of the time.
Yeah,
Yuck. I get it.
I get
Actually,
it.
I get it. I get it.
But they're making fun of him for that. Joe's judging him, and then they reveal that they have Dorothy, which
Uh-huh.
is their tornado machine. It was kind of his and her idea,
Yeah.
maybe, and they finally built it. And
Yeah.
he's super stoked about this.
Yeah.
It's going to take measurements from inside the tunnel of a tornado, which
It's like a big vat, and inside it are essentially a lot of these plastic balls you get from a 25-cent machine that have toys in them. But like all these balls,
instead there's magic in them.
There's magic, and everyone's like, nobody ever knows how a tornado works. We have never seen how a tornado, like a woman, we don't get what they're doing.
Tornadoes and women are actually very similar. Curvy, hot, unpredictable,
Destroying
could
everything
kill
if
you
they do it
or
right.
not. Who knows?
Fun to look at. Yep. So they're gonna try to get some measurements from inside a tornado when they release Dorothy.
Yes. Then we meet. Okay. Then they get a tornado. They've got a tornado that they're going after. Everyone's like, go, go, go.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh shit, she missed this page. I have to go after her with Melissa.
Uh-huh.
So they're joining the crew. He's like, oh, stay behind Melissa. And she's like, no, I think this is actually
It's
pretty
gonna be
interesting.
fun.
I like Melissa.
Melissa
this is
was
another
great.
This is another one of those movies. I feel like maybe we talked about
With
it in
Serendipity, where
Serendipity.
as a kid, you're like, fuck this girl.
I'm like, she's like stuck up. And
now
I'm
you're
like,
like,
she's like great.
she wants to live.
tag along
she
with
wants to
him.
kind of explore some fun
She
stuff.
wants to learn about his life.
I think it's
and
great.
Yeah, no, Melissa's wonderful.
Yeah.
I also, anyway, we'll get to her, but Melissa's great. We meet Jonas, the dude from Princess Bride, I think, is the actor.
That's where he's from, yeah.
He's their rival. Has corporate sponsors. He's in it for the money, not
We
the
hate
science.
that. He's a night crawler. They call him a night crawler.
Yeah.
I don't really get it. He doesn't have instincts either. You gotta have
Right.
instincts, you
He
know?
always follows them, and he really doesn't have instincts. Which I'm like, if you have all this money, you should have at least the same science equipment that they.
But
have.
it's not about science.
It's about
instincts.
holding
You sniff
dust.
the dirt. You got to sniff the dirt. That's what he said in one of his like things to the camera, like, we're done sniffing the dirt or whatever.
Yeah.
But Bill
Maybe he sniffs the dirt,
sniffs the dirt.
and he knows where these things are.
Yeah.
One thing I noted, I was like, okay, everybody's got these walkie-talkies in
Thank
their
you.
cars.
Why does
but
he have
why
his
does
new
he?
truck? His brand new
his
truck?
brand new truck with
with
his
his
girlfriend, but he
fiance?
has
I thought that was
a
very
walkie-talkie in
weird.
there. I'm like, why do you still have that in there?
I thought that was
He
ridiculous.
was like, just for the good old days, just in case I want to. Maybe he's one of those weird guys who, like, you know how some guys will like listen to police chatter on the radio. Maybe he's like, I still want to hear.
I just want to know what's going on.
But like, why do you need the talkie park? Because he wants to be like, hey, I was sniffing the
Hey,
dirt.
by the way,
Dirt
dirt smells weird here. Means something, maybe.
But yeah, that's kind of whatever. He's got his thing.
I thought that was very weird. And Jonas has his fake Dorothy. He stole their idea.
He stole their idea. Now he's got his
He called
version.
it Dot. He didn't even get more creative than that. And instead of little 25-cent circles in it, it's like little cubes.
It's cubes. It looks stupid.
That's embarrassing.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's never going to work.
Yep.
And he also is making fun of him for being a weatherman. Everyone's like, weatherman, lame.
Loser.
So now they're like, we're going to go chase this tornado. And now Bill's pissed. He's pissed that they stole his idea.
Yep.
He's like, I'm coming. Like, I want to see Dorothy fly for the
He's
first
like,
time.
I'll give you one day. And it's like, no one asked you to, but okay.
Yeah,
You know?
nobody wanted. And he's like, no, I got to come. He's getting sucked up into it again. You know, he's
Yeah.
an addict.
It's so funny. I'm even at this point, I'm like, are we supposed to eventually like this guy? I'm not sold on Bill for a while. For a while.
I don't know that I'm like sold on Bill, even
No.
at the end, to be honest.
No, I'm all in it for Helen. And then suddenly, because Bill's on board, Bill's in charge and like has the driving and all this stuff. And I'm like, what?
I'm like, Joe is in charge.
Yeah,
but,
I didn't
you
like
know,
that.
I think
that.
they maybe it's like they're falling into their old ways.
Yeah.
And he probably was very
He
much
was
in charge.
Yeah.
So they're falling into their old ways, and Melissa is also along for the ride.
Yeah.
We
And
got the green
Melissa-
sky.
We
Oh,
got
sorry.
the green
Go
sky.
ahead.
Well, at some point, they're in a diner, a cafe, and Melissa and Joe are next to each other. And
Mm-hmm.
Melissa says, like, you're still in love with him, aren't you, to Joe? And she says, I hope this isn't some desperate attempt to keep him in your life.
Yes.
And I was like, ugh.
She doesn't trust her. And it's like
It's fair.
everything Melissa does is like, I'm like, yeah.
Those are valid concerns. And I don't even think Joe's doing a lot of it consciously either. I think she's very unaware of her
No.
own why she does what she does, you know?
I agree.
But yes, everything goes green. They say
We go
going green.
We're going green.
Yep.
He's going with Joe.
I don't know why Bill says I'm going to go with Joe and leave Melissa with someone else. I'm like, dude, you are fucking
No,
up.
this is when he leaves Melissa on her own to drive his truck and
yes,
follow.
that was crazy. In your own truck, you're making them
And
chase
she
him?
went and bought lemonade for you, all this shit. And he
Bill
was
is
like,
shit.
whatever. So they're all following. Jonas is following.
We
This
find
is
out
when
Melissa's a doctor.
she's a doctor,
A
a
therapist.
therapist. This is when she has a line. She's like, she didn't marry you for your penis.
And then she goes, well, and because of your penis.
And because of your penis.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah, yeah,
make
all of
clear.
it.
We find out eventually she's a reproductive therapist.
And of course, they are shitting on therapy.
Yes,
our
at
two
some point
mains.
we get that, or maybe this one.
It's
Yeah, because
immediately-
Joe's asking about her.
Yeah.
As I,
Normal
it
questions.
seems normal. Bill's being cagey. He's pissed off.
But then, of course, she goes like, "Is it your therapist?" And she's like, "I knew you'd go there." And I'm like, "It's," just, and they're going
Yeah.
back and forth like, "I'm not saying you need therapy," and then they're all pissed off about,
He's like, what could I possibly need a
Implications.
therapist for? And she's like, commitment.
and
They're
ability to finish
fighting.
things.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, at least I showed up in the first place." And I'm like, "Yeah, there's more backstory that I think we don't understand, obviously."
Yeah, they're fighting. They're fighting over the walkie-talkies. They have not turned this off. Everyone can
else
hear.
has to hear them.
Yeah, which sounds like it was probably the way it was before as well.
Yep. And I just wrote, "Wow, tornadoes look cool."
Yeah. We've still got, I mean, it's like 96. CGI is what it is, but I still think it's fun.
I loved it. I had a
Yeah.
great time.
We got our first tornado.
Yeah.
They crash her car, her
Yeah.
truck. A big thing in this movie, I'm like, why do people not have like helmets or goggles?
Goggles,
Or-
especially, I'm surprised about.
I'm like, our eyes,
Bad.
you gotta protect those.
But they go through a crazy thing, and Bill says to Joe, "Why can't we spend a normal day together?" And I'm like, "You shouldn't be
'Cause-
wanting to spend any more days together."
No,
you left?
you're getting divorced.
You're getting divorced?
Yeah. And this was probably a big issue in their relationship. They probably were very bad at just doing normal
Yes.
couple stuff.
Yes. Yes.
So, okay. First car. The car gets lifted. They're going under the bridge.
Yeah.
They're hanging on under the bridge.
They're holding on to each other.
They're holding on to each other. It's our first, like, oh, we're close again. The truck gets sucked up,
Yep.
thrown in front of Melissa. Very scary.
Yeah.
So now they're using her and Bill's truck to
Yep.
drive around. But that's our first tornado.
First tornado.
Then we go on to tornado 2 pretty quickly. They're like, all right,
We hear
more tornadoes.
we got sisters.
And then they got sisters, and there's 3 of them, and they're going
Yeah.
through a lake.
Yeah, it's very cool to watch.
Yeah, so we're on our
Is this
tornado
where we get
2.
a cow? Is we get a bunch of cows in the air?
Yeah, we get
Loved
the cows.
it.
Okay,
Loved
this
it.
was my biggest complaint on Twisters was they didn't do
Twisters
do
is
cows.
the sequel recently.
Is the sequel? It's more of just like another one. There's none of the same characters
Got it,
or anything
yeah.
like that. But there's no
No
cow.
cows? That seems like the most.
They had chickens at one point,
That's
but
not
I was
the
like,
same.
that's stupid. The cow
This
flying by is
so
iconic.
fun.
It's very funny.
Maybe they felt like they couldn't recreate it as
I feel
funnily.
like they were like, oh, I couldn't really tell what the reason was. I just feel like it is such, like, it's on the cover is a cow flying in a
I loved
tornado.
it.
Like,
and it was so many cows, or that what they say later is the same cow, maybe
they're like,
over
I think
and
it's the
over.
same cow. Also, I'm like, this poor cow. This cow's like shit. This is happening to me. What a bad day for that cow.
Yeah,
Is so
It's
confused.
so. I also wonder, like, so this is mostly unrelated. Did you ever watch Sharknado?
I didn't.
Was the idea like these sharks would be dead in a tornado because
Oh,
no
absolutely.
water, right?
I mean, I think
The rest of the
Sharknado.
film makes sense, I bet.
I would love to watch Sharknado. Is there a
Do they
relationship
end up together
in
in the end? The
Do all
tornadoes
the
and
sharks? Yeah, I think Sharknado is meant to be truly insane, though.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Obviously.
Okay, here's a problem I had throughout this film.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like there was an abundant number of times to release Dorothy
Yes.
that Dorothy could have gotten sucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Even near the end when they finally put the little wings or the mobile
Yeah.
on each of them. The first time they release them, they're like, this is fucked. And I'm like, these could get sucked up. Why are we pretending none of this could get
Right.
sucked up?
Well, I think that I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think maybe the idea is like light things don't tend to get sucked up for some reason. But like, I don't know that that's
Doesn't
totally
make a lot
true.
of
I
sense
don't
to
really
me.
understand.
Why wouldn't it get swept up too?
I don't know.
It'd be easier to sweep up.
Yeah.
You think vacuuming?
Tornadoes are like, nah, I only lift heavy, bro. I only lift heavy.
I bench cows.
I bench cows.
I bench
I'm like,
cows.
oh, what? I'm going to pick up these little capsules, bro? Like, that's pussy
That's
shit.
disgusting. Anyone
I'm
could do
lifting
that.
cows. I'm lifting trucks.
Uh-huh.
Semis, bitch.
House. Who lift your fucking house?
I'll lift your fucking house. Don't even fuck with me with those capsules, bro.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. But
Yeah, I agree.
whatever.
And I have thought this
yeah.
a lot of times.
But I'm like, okay,
They're,
there's a
whatever. We
problem.
have to get it special or something. It's probably a very expensive instrument, so maybe they're just like, listen, I agree with you.
It costs however many balls, 25 cents over and over and over again. Okay, this is
Yeah, they're just balls. There's definitely nothing going.
Nothing in there.
Nothing in there, just magic. Oh, what? You have to find a wizard to put a curse on them.
Please. And then they hug after this tornado and they're touching, and I'm like, poor Melissa.
Yeah, poor Melissa. She's obviously freaked out. She has to see them celebrate together.
Yep.
And then he finally remembers. He's like, oh, you as well.
Yes.
Like, oh, I'm so
Look at
sorry.
us.
Oh, are you scared? Like, I feel
Yeah.
like he's kind of like babying her. And I was like, of course she's fucking scared.
She should be. This is crazy.
This is crazy.
And there's so many things to be fearful of. Am I losing my fiance? Am I
Yeah,
gonna
you're
die?
seeing him with his ex-wife.
Yeah.
You haven't been together that long.
No. She says something funny. She says, when you said you chased tornadoes, she thought it was a metaphor.
Yeah.
Which is funny. It does
She
seem,
didn't really. I feel like they don't know each other very well.
No. And
Or
how,
he's hiding this side of him.
How
Yeah.
can she when he's like, this is the new person I'm going to be in. This is my new life.
Mhm.
He even later says, like, I killed that evil version.
Yeah.
I'm this version now. But like, it would be so crazy to go thinking I'm about to marry a guy and then just one day
Learn all this shit about
Completely different
him.
person.
And you're just like, oh, you lied to me a lot.
it's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
thank God she found it out.
It's very
at that
lucky for
point,
her.
But it is nuts.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Anyway, everyone's hungry and we go to Aunt Meg's.
Yeah. We go to Aunt Meg's, which, yeah, we go there. Love her.
Love her. there's no way you're gonna have much input on this, but I've never had it, but I just don't really understand
Steak and eggs.
steak and eggs.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion.
I know.
I feel like, I guess I have no strong opinion, so I can't say one way or the other.
Never
To
wanted
me,
eggs
I'm
with my
like,
steak.
it seems breakfasty. Like people have
Eggs is breakfast.
eggs with bacon.
I guess I don't
Is there
think
a
of
big
steak
difference?
in the morning.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess you could say if steak is like bacon, then
I mean,
eggs
I know
and
it's
bacon
not
makes,
the same, but
I know, but if you're like meat's a meats.
meat's a meat.
Okay, I won't fight anymore.
All right. I mean, if I could say anything more than I think steak's gross.
I fucking love a steak. The steak looks so good. The mashed potatoes and the gravy
She's
look
obviously
so good.
everyone's stoked about her food.
Yeah,
the mashed
all the
potatoes looked
boys.
awesome.
All the fucking rabbit and preacher and belter, all the reindeer, they're eating their food at
They're
Aunt
eating their
Meg's
food.
house.
They're telling their stories.
Yeah.
They're all like, oh, all this crazy shit.
They call him extreme. They call Billy
she's
extreme.
she's realizing she doesn't really know Bill,
Yeah.
and this is like, I wrote down that finding out. Okay, so this is an extreme version, finding out about your partner's past, but it is weird to like, I think sometimes think about a person that you know well,
Yeah.
and then like thinking about their past before you.
Yeah.
I think can be weird,
Yeah.
and like finding out about them.
Yeah.
So she's doing that, but it's like so extreme because he's clearly pretending to be a different person. This is
Yeah.
when he's like, I killed the old Bill.
Yeah, it's very weird. Yeah, they're telling stories about how he was naked and threw a bottle of booze into the tornado,
Yeah.
all this stuff. And then they're talking about different kinds of earthquakes, F2, F3, F4.
Tornadoes,
And then she said-
but yeah.
Sorry, tornadoes. It's just my native language, but yeah.
Fujita scale, maybe? I looked it up, but it's F1 through
Yeah, F5.
5.
And so they're just saying normal numbers, like F2, F3, F4. She's like, is there an F5? The whole
Everyone
place
gets
goes
silent. Like, we don't talk about F5s.
so funny. It's like, it's the next progression of numbers. You're surprised
It's like
she's
a
gonna
normal
ask
thing. She's
about
like,
it.
is there an F5? And they're all like, we don't talk about
God, it's
F5s.
crazy to even suggest that.
But the last one that happened was 30 years ago. It's the one that killed Joe's dad. They
Yeah.
are rare, I think.
Yep.
I'm going to trust him on this one.
Yep. And Joe's up there showering, and Aunt Megan and her talking. That's where she says the thing about going in the same direction.
Yeah.
And
And she's like, he didn't keep his part of the bargain. Like, Meg is like, I like him, but like, he didn't keep pining for you. Like, I feel like Meg is like, I like him, but like, also,
yeah,
like, she kind of gets it. I
Yeah.
like Aunt Meg.
I love Aunt Meg.
So they leave Meg's. They're following Tornado 3.
Yeah.
We're having intimate moment. I wrote they're having intimate moments in the truck. Like they're just sort of.
So this was a line that really pissed me off. They're doing some crazy. I assume she's like thirsting for tornado stuff, and he says to her, "Stop living in the past and look at what you got right in front of you." And she goes, "What?" And he goes, "Me, Joe." And I'm like, buddy,
You are engaged.
you're demanding her to sign divorce papers, and you're saying she's got you.
Yes.
That was crazy to me.
Yes.
That was so not okay.
Yes, this is okay. It's that part. Killing yourself won't bring your dad back. They're
Yeah.
having this big. I also wrote down with this one. This happens a few times, but they're like driving through frequently off the road through cornfields, and I'm
Yeah.
like, is the farmer like okay with it? You're kind of like fucking up his crops. I guess you got to do it to get the tornado. They don't really
guess.
care, but
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I think you're kind of fucking up this
It
farmer's
might be.
crops.
Might be.
I guess the tornado's probably gonna fuck them up
That's
anyway.
what
so
I think, but I don't know tornado world, but I would assume, yeah.
I don't know.
'Cause one
I
of
don't
these,
think
the
it ultimately
F5
matters.
F5 was a mile. in
Yeah,
width.
it was
That's
big.
more than a car's gonna do.
That's more damage to the corn. I was concerned about the corn
Yeah, and I respect
most
that.
in this movie.
I respect that she's a vegetarian. She's looking
I
out
was like,
for the vegetables.
what am I gonna do?
What am I gonna eat? Cows, gross.
No.
This is
but yeah.
fun. We see them all at it's nighttime, a drive-in theater.
A drive-in
which
theater.
are real back then.
Not anymore, maybe.
Not anymore, baby. They're driving theater. They're watching The Shining,
Yes.
which is a lot of fun.
Very fun.
And this is where Joe's decided to sign the papers.
Yes.
And yeah, why did you think she was signing the papers then? Did you see that?
So I think that maybe she was mad about him being like, killing yourself won't bring your dad back. Like, I feel
Yeah?
like maybe that fight, she was just like, fuck it, I'm done. Like,
I thought
I'll
it was
sign
a
your papers.
reaction to him saying the like, I'm right here.
Yeah, I think that's fair
thing
as
too.
well.
And I'm just like, God, you guys are such a fucking mess.
Yeah, they're a mess.
She signs the papers. I felt so bad about Melissa's in like a hotel or something.
Yeah, by
and
herself.
I'm like, this poor woman, anytime she experiences wind, her body is going to have a trauma response.
Oh, yeah. She's
Like,
terrified.
this is a tornado and the end of my relationship. I'm
Yep.
like, poor girl.
She's got to move.
Yep.
Can't be in Oklahoma. So
And I hate that calls Melissa honey. And I'm like, dude, we just heard what you said to Ellen.
Yeah.
Everyone, I'm pretty sure she heard over a speakerphone.
Probably.
What you said. I think that was the scene.
Yes.
That it walkie
She has seen this. She's sitting in her
Ugh.
hotel room. You can see she's like playing with her engagement ring, just sort of
Yeah.
like, what the fuck have I done?
Yeah.
Joe finally signs the divorce papers. Bill's being like, I'm worried these sensors are too light. I'm worried they're not going to fly.
Yeah.
The TV starts to go static. And now we're on Tornado 4.
Yeah, there's a really fun shot where we just see the very edge of the drive-in movie screen. And on the edge, we just see the knock that Jack Nicholson's doing. And it feels like it's knocking as the thing is entering. And
Yes.
it feels like there are all these scenes where they cut with the drive-in theater movie screen. Such a good time.
Very good.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson is destroying the place.
The
with Shining.
door and the
tornado's
tornadoes
destroying
ripping
through
off
that.
like
It's a good
wood
time.
and stuff like that as well.
And everyone has to go down and go into this
The basement
metal
kind of cellar situation and
It really looks just like
underground.
more of a warehousey
Yeah.
thing. Like it just looks like a metal.
It is
warehouse.
does have an underground area, but
Uh-huh.
it is kind of weird when you're in a public space and you have to deal with this.
Yeah.
Like Midwestern airports have like tornado shelters.
Interesting.
And most places have like something.
Yeah. It's so crazy to me because this poor woman, Melissa, was just trying to get these papers signed.
Yeah. This is all she
She's in a
wanted to
terrifying
do.
thing. But this is where she ends it after that tornado.
Yes. I also, a big thing, and I know that a big part of what they're saying is they're like, oh, we want to do these sensors up in the tornado so we can measure it and we can make the sirens go off
They want
faster.
to increase the warning time. Right now, they have a 3-minute warning time max, and they want to increase it to 15 minutes because that saves so many lives.
A big thing in this movie, though, is we never hear the sirens. And I kind of wish that we did hear the sirens going off.
So people get the vibe, right? Like they get the
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of like the sirens are a little bit eerie in my mind.
Yeah. They should do the sirens. I agree.
Yeah. Like I was just like, especially at this point, the tornado's like barreling through this
Yeah,
drive.
people should be hearing this
like we
already.
should be hearing the sirens.
Yeah. That's interesting.
But
You're right.
whatever. They didn't want to have them, I
I
guess.
feel like I heard sirens once.
Yeah.
I think it was right before on Meg's earthquake.
Okay,
Not
we did
earthquake.
hear her
Tornado.
earthquake.
My
Her
God.
earthquake
I'm
sirens.
just a California girl. Okay. I'm sorry.
Earthquake,
Her
tornado.
personal earthquake.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the end of the warehouse tornado.
Yes, tornado. This is just like a side note. Have you seen San Andreas? That movie?
No.
That's the disaster movie for you. That's the earthquake.
I think they'd be too close to come. I think
Oh, it's like insane
Is it dumb?
though.
Do they end up together in the end?
I don't know if there's a relationship. I'd have to double
What?
check.
There must be.
It's The Rock and his daughter. He's like trying to save his daughter, I think.
okay. No,
but
okay.
I don't really. I've only seen it once. It's it's similar
Yeah.
to this, where
Yeah.
it's like kind of ridiculous.
This is a good time though.
Anyway, okay. We're going underground, and then we realize that like the tornado passes them, and now we realize it's going to Aunt Meg's.
Yeah, but when they all leave the warehouse, that's when Melissa says, "I'm not going with you," and he's like, "Great,
Yes.
stay in the hotel." And she's like, "No, I'm not coming back here."
We're done.
She says, "I can't compete with this." Good for
Fair.
her.
Everything she says is so good. Sooner or later it would have ended. We both know that.
And she says, "I'm not even that upset." What does that mean?
The funny thing is I'm not that upset.
Yeah.
Like everything she does, I love her story
She's
arc
so good.
of just like she's not like a woman scorned. She's
Yep.
not she stands up for herself.
Yep.
She's like, you are not who I thought you were.
She leaves exactly when things like it's too unreasonable. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm out."
Yeah.
Good for her. She nearly died
Yeah.
several times.
Yes. She heard him say to
Yes.
his ex-wife, I'm standing right here in front of
It's
you.
disgusting.
You don't stick around after
No.
that.
Yep. So Melissa leaves, and then everyone's like, "We gotta save Meg."
Yeah. They go to her town. We got to see it's gone through.
We have the strongest F5 tornado. It's turned into an
F4.
F5. it's turned into an F5.
Oh.
We hear everything that it's happening.
Okay.
It's becoming the strongest F5 tornado.
Okay, yes. It started as a 4. We're going to 5.
Exactly.
She's like, we didn't have enough warning. They find Meg's house, and they go in to save her, and she's been like trapped under some wood.
Yes.
Like she did not have enough time to get to her
No.
cellar, which is also like, it's scary in general to have to go to a cellar. But like, if you think about like elderly people and stuff like that, like you're just not gonna be able to get there in time. If you only have 3 minutes, that's crazy.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So then, after this scary thing where Jo almost loses her aunt or gets rid of that, she's like, her aunt's like, you gotta figure out this project to give people more lead time. And so they decide they're all gonna make a little art project where they get a bunch of cans and clip out a bunch of little wings.
The little wings on them because
little
they're looking
propellers.
at her wind chime things and they're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, if we put little
Spinning
propellers,
boys.
then they'll go up.
Yeah.
We love that. So now we're going after the F5 tornado, strongest in 30 years. Strongest tornado since the one that killed Joe's dad.
Yeah.
And we're going after it.
Yeah. And I still am like, why don't they just leave little balls on the floor and let them go up? Why don't, whatever.
Yeah, we all know they're just filled with magic. They can't cost that much money.
No, not at all. And like they look cute. They all like lit up, I think, once they finally they got sent to the right tornado.
Yeah, because of vibes and magic.
Yeah,
Nothing
it felt a little
mechanic.
like this is magic-y. And then now they're trying to they've done the thing. They've successfully sent the little dudes, the sensors and the thing.
Yes.
The data's happening. And now they have to outrun a tornado.
Yes, because they had to get close to it to get it
Yep.
in the way, and they put her out. Oh, this is when the semi truck is thrown out of the tornado. So they've gotten it close,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, something's about to get thrown out of this tornado, and it's a semi truck.
Huge semi. It's crazy.
It hits their truck. Their truck is gone. Oh, they drive the truck into the tornado. They put it in cruise control, and that's what goes in and gets sucked up with
They're out
everything.
there.
So now they're running.
Yeah. And they're running crazy, and then they eventually, I don't know how you outrun a tornado that's a mile wide, probably moving at ridiculous speeds, but basically they end up finding a house, and they see that there's like there's a barn, but then essentially there's this shed where there's pipes that they say they think go 30 feet deep.
Yeah, so
And I'm
they
like,
tie
this
themselves
tornado
into.
would pull this pipe apart. There's no reason, but
It
whatever.
might. There's also a thing that happens before this is that Jonas and his their bad guy crew, they're rival scientists. They're chasing them. And then they just die.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, we're just going to kill their rival scientists.
Absolutely. I'm fine with that. I want to see that man
a
again.
pole goes through the car and then it gets sucked up and the car just explodes.
Yep. Because they didn't listen to the dirt sniffer. They should have listened.
They were like, oh, yes, because Joe and Bill are both like,
hey, out.
You need to get out. You need to go this other way. We're not trying to trick you. We're trying to help you. And Jonas is like, I don't believe you. Oh, what? You're trying to help me now? The other thing that they're doing at this point is they're like, if you can get the readings, that's better than us getting the readings, I think is what they're trying to help them with. They're like, if you put your thing over there and it gets sucked up, then great. And they're like, oh, you're trying to trick us. We're going to go the other way. And then they die.
Yeah. It's really, they told it that it changed direction and they didn't believe them.
Yeah.
And the driver does believe them, the driver of the bad guy, but unfortunately the bad guy wins and they all die.
And then they drive through a house that has been thrown on. There's all sorts of crazy things happening. Lots of chaos. They've got their readings. I felt bad for the horses, but they seem to be doing fine. And then, they hook themselves to the pipe. The tornado goes over
leather
them.
bondage stuff. They put some leather things and wrap them around. Like, they're going to have crazy sex.
They are getting turned on.
They're anchoring themselves to these pipes with these leather things. And then they get to just
have a tornado go over them. So I don't think that my issue with this, more so than the pipe getting pulled up, because I don't know that the pipe would if it's really anchored down. But my issue is there's so much debris in a tornado. You're getting hit in the head.
They'd be fucked. Yeah, absolutely.
You got a concussion.
Absolutely.
More so than this pipe.
None of it makes sense.
because the thing, like, even if it's like a gigantic tornado, they're not like super sucky. They're just sort of like destructive.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's not really gonna. Anyway, they should be getting hit in the head.
This should
It's
not have been a
shocking
very
that
chill
anyone
situation.
survived.
But the tornado passes over them where they get to see the eye of the tornado. They see clear
Yeah.
sky above, and that's neat or whatever. And then I guess the tornado just decided it was full.
It decided it's had enough. It
Like,
dissipates.
ooh, ate so much.
The family that lived at this farm comes out of their cellar,
Alive.
and you know they see some people strapped to a pipe.
Weird,
She's
but
fine.
okay.
And
And then they like have
we did it.
a little fight about like, ooh, you'll do the lab.
They're
I'll
like,
do
oh my
the
god, we got all these
analysis."
readings, and they're like, we're gonna do science together, and
they start
then they
arguing about
kiss.
who does what, and then he says, you always have to do things the hard way, and I'm like, yeah, this thing's not gonna last.
No,
But yeah,
no, they're gonna do their lab stuff together, and they definitely have crazy sex.
Yeah.
They are a fight to sex couple for
absolutely.
sure.
Yes, they are. They are.
Yeah.
They love doing after fight sex.
Hmm. They love like fighting in front of all their coworkers,
Yeah, it's hot
and
for
then
them. It's their
banging it out.
foreplay,
They
really.
love running away from a tornado and then going back to the hotel and
And
fucking.
having sex. Like they're having a good time.
Yeah.
I'm open to anywhere between 1 and 3 years.
Yeah, I think it really just depends on how long this specific science takes, which I don't know how
I think
long it's
computers
going to
were
take.
slow. I say 3 years.
All right, I'll do it. I think it's just like in general, once this is over, and he wants to.
He's gonna be a little weather boy, have a little family.
He wants something stable. I
Yeah.
think that secretly he does. He likes
Yeah.
this adrenaline rush, but like he also kind of wants to settle down.
He absolutely does.
He did that for a reason.
He doesn't have the same like trauma-induced shit.
No,
that she has.
she's messed up, and
Yep.
unless she decides to go to therapy, which she will
won't.
not.
She thinks it's fucking
It's
ridiculous.
96. We're not doing
We're not
therapy
doing that
in
unless you're really
96.
fucked up in the brain.
So neither of them are getting therapy, and this
Nope.
is not lasting past this experiment.
yeah, absolutely agree.
So 1 to 3, depending on how long it takes. But
Yep.
science takes like way longer than you would think, so they might stick it
I
out
think it
for
could
a
be
bit.
a while. But I loved the movie. So much
Yeah.
fun.
It's a super fun time.
Yeah.
Great suggestion.
Yeah.
Thank you. I got to watch my childhood favorite.
That's great.
And I was happy.
Aw.
All right.
This
This
has
has been When Harry Dumped Sally. Check us out next Tuesday.
Yep.